we're looking at how transition is key, particularly we saw the African Development Bank estimates. They're saying Africa could actually capture 10% share of the global green hydrogen market by 2040. So that's potentially creating between 1.9 and 3.7 million jobs. And that's also boosting GDP by over $60 billion. So who's in line for the uptake, we're going to hear in just a moment. So the panel discussion, it's tabled as Forging the Path for Hydrogen Economy, Shifting from Planning to Meeting Global Market Demands. What will be required? Well, Africa is uniquely positioned, as you've heard, to produce green hydrogen, especially at competitive costs, unlocking an estimated 1.5 trillion green hydrogen of the economy by 2035. So South Africa's own ambitious green hydrogen corridor project and Mauritania's emerging green hydrogen policy have led the way. They're highlighting how the continent's growing commitment to green energy is unfolding. So allow me to bring to the stage now Riverson Oppong, who is the CEO Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. He is the moderator. Let me introduce your panelists as they get ready. Riverson Angelique Peak, Sector Head for Oil and Gas Energy and Resources, Rand Merchant Bank, Namibia. Sampson Mamphweli, Head of Energy Secretariat as DSTI, SANEDI. Prof, welcome to you. Alexander Vidich, CEO, Gulf Energy Efficiency. And Damiel Namwera, Head of the Department of Renewable Energy, Ministry of Mineral Resources and Energy, Mozambique. And I'm just hoping that you are sitting according to the order of... There we go. Awesome. So after the panel discussion, you'll see the clock is up there. Do stand for a quick photo op, and I'm handing over to you. Have a mic? Okay, good.
Hello. Oh, fantastic. Wonderful good afternoon to all of you. The Namibian squad has left the room empty. So we're going to have a very diverse chat around the topic hydrogen. It's a new, I would say, form of energy that is being spoken about now everywhere you go. Talking about achieving, I'll say, net zero, achieving a sustainable form of energy. Hydrogen is one of the forms of energy that the whole continent is looking at. As far as data is concerned, Africa's poised to about $1.5 trillion towards green energy as far as hydrogen is concerned by 2035. And today here with me to unlock the discussion is Angelique, who is a sector head oil and gas from RMB Bank in Namibia. And also we have Professor Sampson, who is the head DSTI Energy Secretariat of SANEDI. We also do have Alessandra, who is the CEO for Gulf Energy Efficiency. And then also we have Damiel, also from Mozambique Department for Renewable Energy. So to set the ball rolling, I would like to go into a bit of research and development because everything starts with research. Somebody should have sat down to understood that there is something unique from hydrogen. So that will take me to Sampson, to start with you by passing you back to tell us how critical is R&D in enabling this whole conversation around hydrogen, you know? So what is the role of DSI Hydrogen South Africa, looking at your interest now in both gas and even hydrogen? What is the role of R&D?
Okay, thanks for that question. R&D has got a very big role to play when it comes to the hydrogen economy, both from feasibility studies of various projects and also from the technology point of view. If you look at the work that we do in the DSTI Energy Secretariat, We work on both upstream and downstream research, development and initiative. And we're looking at both technology, we're looking at the feasibility studies for various projects and supporting the big so-called hydrogen projects. We are also involved in terms of piloting of the various technologies that are developed through what we call the HISA program or Hydrogen South Africa program, which is a cabinet approved program that started more than 15 years ago. Okay. And through the work that was done through HISA program, we managed to come up with our strategy, which is called the Hydrogen Society Roadmap, that then gave rise to the hydrogen commercialization, the green hydrogen commercialization strategy. But all that was the results of research and development that we've been doing in the country.
Fantastic. I'm pleased to hear that you didn't just start. For the past 15 years, you have been researching, and that has brought you far. This will take me to Angelique. After R&D, successful R&D, so you want to tell us how the banking sector is there to support after R&D, because I believe that every fund will take a look at how profitable the project is. So from financing perspective, what are the key factors that will make a hydrogen project in Africa bankable?
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think it's important to understand that ultimately funding a hydrogen project is not very much different from any other major project anyway, right? Okay. So anyone that is looking at funding a project, and these are normally relatively sizable, will require things like policy certainty. I mean, we heard Maggie talking about it now in the oil and gas side of things as well. As an investor to any project, and hence as a funder, you need to be sure that you are funding and investing and operating in an environment that has clear policies, clear rules, and clear regulations in this space. So that's really important for the environment to create feasible funding. But really what you need to do is you need to, as a commercial bank, need to understand that there are going to be cash flows that support the project, because otherwise you can't have your funds repaid. And remember, as a commercial bank, we are lending out funds from the person on the street. So there's a big responsibility to understand that the projects will also generate revenue, which in the hydrogen space is, in the bigger scale of things and the bigger projects, still quite complicated, because you would need things like certain offtake, and with a certain offtake, perhaps a certain price. And we're simply not quite there yet when it comes to the bigger hydrogen picture. I think so
so you're looking at market?
Yes,
okay.
you need a developed market for a big hydrogen project to be able to fund the project as such, right?
But haven't we learned from how gas market came about? Because you and I know that the gas market, unlike the crude oil market, takes a long time.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at for an existing market, a big market, to be able to invest, would that be a problem?
So I think that's where we come into the conversation with your proof of concept, smaller pilot projects. And that is, for example, happening in Namibia to quite a large degree now. Pilot projects in different ways, shapes and forms. So whether it is creating hydrogen that is then used at source, which we've got the first one in source as well, whether it's hydrogen for green industrialization, such as green steel, or even fertilizer from the ammonia side of things. So if you can create those proof of concepts, you can play around from a funding perspective in those already to understand what a potential future market will look like.
Exactly.
And then you can start understanding if and how this bigger market is going to get created. A bank, a commercial bank certainly, won't jump in and go and fund a major project worth, I don't know, 13, 14 billion euros. That's very much equity risk or DFI type of funding. So there's different ways of approaching that. But again, the proof of concept and the smaller projects to see how these things work, and then the establishment of a market over time is how you get into the conversation.
Fantastic, fantastic. I'll come back to you, because the issue of market, the energy market is something that's dear to my heart. But I'll like to go to that panelist, especially going to Alessandra. As a CEO of Gulf Energy Efficiency, I believe that efficiency is one of your core mandate and business as an institution. Where do you see the biggest opportunity to improve efficiency in the hydrogen space or the economy of it? We are discussing market now. How do you bring efficiency from production stage to even utilization? Yeah, can you throw a bit of light into that?
Sure. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. So I think the most significant energy efficiency gains can be achieved via three main ways. So collocating production and use is one of the main ones, as it eliminates and drastically reduces the transportation and storage need, which are the most energy intensive and cost heavy parts of the chain. Secondly, optimizing production for local conditions as well. So using the best renewable resources available and technology suited for the specific location, especially in Africa, there is a lot of potential for that. Developing flexible demand and smart infrastructure as well. So using hydrogen in applications where it is best or only solution, and managing its production intelligently as well. So starting with production, which is the foundation of the efficiency. So maximizing electrolyzer utilization and location also, and optimal renewable energy resources spaces. So we could use the example of the Namibia Hyphen Hydrogen project, which is located in Kaib National Park, which is one of the sunniest and windiest locations globally, which makes it such combination of collocation for the solar and wind makes it allows for the near constant energy supply, significantly reducing the costs. So by maximizing the use of these extra electrolyzers at low cost, hybrid renewable energy usage, and this project aims to produce hydrogen at one of the lowest scale costs globally. Which makes the whole downstream also much more viable. Secondly, for the transportation and storage, which is the biggest cost hurdle, because this is where the most significant energy losses occur, and converting hydrogen into a transportable form in the form of ammonia or liquid hydrogen, and then reconverting it again, can lead to even 30 to 40% of the initial energy loss. So here we could refer to the Mauritania Amman project, whereby we produce green hydrogen directly and immediately convert it into green ammonia for export, to prevent that energy loss from happening. Also developing local hydrogen valleys, understood as geographic area where production, distribution and end use are all combined in one. Yeah. So we could use the example of the South Africa Hydrogen Valley corridor here as well, where we develop South Africa hydrogen economy, create jobs, foster industrialization as well. And also use on the massive platinum resources in the country as well, which all can be used for the further energy storage and transport. Also the use for hydrogen for the local fertilizer and chemical plants, for example, Sasol, is also applied here. So by creating a local ecosystem of some sort, we are producing and consuming hydrogen within the same region, dramatically improving the overall economic and energy efficiency of the whole chain. And I think also decarbonizing the heavy industries is very important here as well, and fertilizer production. So this is something, again, South Africa and Morocco has been doing really well in, as they are using green hydrogen to produce green steel and green fertilizers for domestic use as well as export.
Okay, so you're telling me that there is already a domestic need for this form of energy. Because the last time I heard, Namibia was signing an agreement with an European country to export the hydrogen. Do you think that's the best idea, looking at the transportation efficiencies?
I think the best here is some sort of balance. So we need to make sure that the local demand is satisfied first before proceeding with the export. So I think this balance needs to be maintained. I think, jumping too early at a too early stage into export directly is not the best solution in some cases, So I think for Africa, in terms of, again, closing remarks, strategic integration and localization is
No closing remarks here.
very
We still have some
important.
time.
I feel like I took some time already, but just to summarize the key points. So co-locating world renewable resources with the production, integrating derivative production like ammonia, liquid hydrogen, directly at the source, and leveraging existing transport infrastructure as well is very important.
Okay. I'll come to you.
I want to just jump in on something she said.
No, before you just jump in, I'm adding something to you. Would you support a project that is looking at producing a market locally?
So it comes back to the proof of concept I mentioned.
Exactly.
Hydrogen specifically is something that is complicated, we know, to transport.
Yeah.
There is no real solution for that yet that is perfectly safe, proven, etc.
100%.
So interestingly, what's just happened in Namibia, to your comment, the MOU with the big off-taker for the Hyphen project has just pulled out. And that is because geopolitics have changed, things have changed, the whole mixture of energy isn't moving into the green side of things as quickly as the world had hoped. And yet the local smaller pilot projects are something that it's solving for local industrialization, which the government is massive on. It's solving for perhaps bringing more of the hydrogen-powered ships into our ports, which are going to have a lot to do in the next few years, to be honest, with everything going on. But again, it creates local beneficiation to be able to play with these and understand how these markets work.
Yeah, I mean, so it is still bankable whether it's going to be
whether it's international
or local.
It's the scale is different.
Where is the trust issue? Where is the trust issue? Because for other commodities, it has to do with revenue, payment for the usage or utilization of the product.
Correct.
Is it the same case for hydrogen gas?
So remember, it's about scale. In a project like Hyphen, you're going to require massive offtake in foreign currency to be able to play with the cost of the imports and the cost of the exports, etc. And there you really need international offtakers. Where you're looking at the smaller ones locally, and they can grow over time. There you can remember there are quite a few local players and or regional players that the banks already have relationships with. So even if it's a local situation to start with, there's absolutely ability to support it.
Fantastic. I'll come to you, Damio. Everything we're talking about today, from R&D to bankability of the project, to even optimizing it to efficiency, will not hold. And you heard what Angelique mentioned from the beginning, policies. They look at policies around the project, okay? From the Ministry of Energy, especially now you call yourself renewable energy, what kind of regulatory frameworks should we put in place to make sure that investors are welcome to invest in a new energy framework or zone? And then what kind of policy also do we need to back it up to regulation? Because regulation and policy are two different things here. And so let's speak your government mindset around hydrogen in all.
Thank you for the questions. First of all, I will thank for the invitation to be part of this panel. What I can share is in 2023, we approved our energy transition strategy, which is long term, is until 2015. And this energy transition strategy it was strategy in the four pillars and the 14 programs.
Okay.
One of the pillars is modern energy system based on renewable energy. Specifically, we talk about the more renewable energy generations and the more improve the energy transmission lines. The second pillars is the green industrializations.
Okay.
The third one, pillars, is pillars about the energy access. And the fourth one, pillars, is adoption of the clean energy for transportations. So this strategy, the hydrogen is one of the energy transitions programs.
Okay.
So we consider the hydrogens in the one of.
Did you consider it based on availability and affordability, or just because it's a form of, or it's a new form of energy?
We had in Mozambique some study about availability of
Okay.
yes.
All right.
This program is to operationalize what we have in the study we did.
Okay.
One of them is to make the hydrogen national strategy. Is one of the activity we had in these programs. So now we are putting this commitment in the practice. Yes, we are make the national roadmap for these hydrogens, which set the priorities, targets, and the regulatory milestones. This week, we approved the national climate finance strategy. Okay. I think it's the one of these we can help for this hydrogen. But in Mozambique, we also have the renewable energy strategy. We have renewable energy policy. We approve now in 2020 the electricity law that can afford the renewable to be implemented in Mozambique.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to give you a follow-up question on how you're going to finance this. So I'm very happy. I was going to give you a follow-up question on how you're going to finance all this strategy. You have regulation for it. You have policies put in place to achieve a target. And I'm particularly happy to see the strategy you have. But my follow-up question, which you just touched on briefly, has to do with how you're going to finance this project. Okay, because it is not cheap to transport hydrogen. Like we said now, there's still not clear, safe way of transporting it. So how did you adapt a financing strategy, or what kind of financing strategy did you adapt in your transition plan? Because as far as I know, Africa is the only continent that has received less than $1 million or $1 billion towards energy efficiency, okay, across all these COP discussions. So how is Mozambique as a country going to finance such a project?
Indeed, is
according to your energy transition plan, you just mentioned it.
We have to put more projects, renewable energy projects. We have to improve, or we have to make more infrastructures line for the transportation, the old energy from these renewables. Okay, and then in Mozambique, for example, we have some projects, renewable projects, who have the financing for the I forgot the name. Is I think it's the Green Climate Finance.
Okay.
Yes.
So where is this fund coming from? This Green Climate Fund. Where is it coming from?
They come from. So I didn't catch.
I mean, where do you get money into this fund? Is it locally generated funds, or is it foreign?
The government supports some projects.
Okay.
But we have the cooperation partners. They finance some renewable energy project with their programs. the other project, the independent power producers, they fund in the climate finance budget.
Yeah, but you see, I'm asking you this question because I'm going somewhere. I'll come back to you. It's risky. It's very risky. Angelique just gave an example of how something changed because all this while we have this project that this hydrogen is going somewhere, the deal has been done, it's broken, and now it's off the deal. Trump is back, drill baby drill. Geopolitically, things are changing, and I'm just telling you, there is no fund for green transition for Africa. Forget it.
Yeah.
And I'm just warning you, go and warn your president to be careful putting your hope on the fund that you don't have security over.
Yes, that's why I say that some fund come from the government.
Okay.
Now this year we approved the in Portuguese we say the taxa de acesso universal is an universal access tax. Okay. Is some tax that the independent power producers will
pay.
Yeah, will pay for we use for the financial
so like
project.
More like an energy renewable fund, green transition fund kind of stuff.
Yes, we are create some internal funds for the
That's good. I'll come back to you probably and pick some concepts, ideas from the other panelists. But now let's go to one another critical space, which is skill development. And I'm coming to you, Professor Sampson.
Yes.
One of the crucial topics around hydrogen economy is capacity building. Yeah. All right. Obviously, I'll let Alessandra throw a bit of light in the collaboration we have with other countries that have experience over it. But from what you said, DSI, from R&D to operation, what specific measures is the DSI Energy Secretariat taking to ensure that skilled workforce is ready for hydrogen projects in South Africa?
Yeah, so under the HISA program and other programs that we run, we have managed to train masters and PhD students. Under the Hydrogen South Africa program, we've trained more than 300 students. Okay. We spent more than 1 billion rands in the program itself.
And where are these 300 people? Where are they?
Some of them stay within universities. We work through universities and science councils. Some of them stay within the universities where they studied. Some of them are working overseas, which is fortunate and unfortunate. What we've learned as a country from our renewable energy program, we started with a skills program under one of the programs that we're running through the Energy Secretariat as well, called the Renewable Energy Hub and Spokes Program, where we trained more than 600 students, and most of them went overseas. But when the sector started growing in the country, most of them came back. Okay. So if you go into the IPP space, for instance, in South Africa, you'll find that the managers, the artisans, and the technicians who are there are some of the students who were trained in some of our program. They went overseas, they came back, and they're now making that kind of a contribution. So we're not worried about where the students that we are training are going. We've also commissioned studies looking at the projections, the growth projections of the hydrogen economy, and then we looked at the skills gap that we might have. Yeah. We've concentrated a lot more on training of masters and PhD students at universities, working with science councils, the CSIR, MinTech, and others. Right. But we haven't trained technologists, technicians, and artisans. And our studies indicated that we're going to run short of that skill in the country. Exactly. Which by the way, is not something new, because even our security of energy supply challenges, part of the problem was that we didn't have some of those skills. Yeah. Some of the people had left, some of them had retired and things like that. Now we are looking at a bigger training program, working with the Department of Higher Education and Training. We've launched a program that will kickstart next year to focus mainly on the artisans, technologists, and technicians. We've done some work in the HISA program where we supported technicians and we continue to support them. But that kind of work is not going to be enough for us to basically cover the skills gap that we've identified as a country.
Sure. I'm very excited to hear the fact that you know there's a problem for skill gap. And the students you've trained, those who left, it's normal. They will go, they always come back when there's opportunity. All right. So don't stop, continue to train them at whatever level you can, so that when the time comes, we use them. But going to collaboration, I come to you, Alessandra. How do we collaborate with existing, with countries with expertise like UAE, and with African countries who need that kind of skill gap support, and or to say, talking about scalability. How do we scale up our existing infrastructure in the hydrogen economy?
Thank you. So I think partnerships between Gulf countries and Africa represent like a powerful synergy because of the complementary strengths.
Okay.
So in terms of what Gulf countries can bring into the table, I think it's capital and project finance. We have huge potential with sovereign wealth funds like the UAE-based Mubadala, like public investment funds from Saudi Arabia, Qatar Investment Authority, Kuwait Investment Authority, and so on, which have massive capital strengths and provide long-term project financing. We also have efficiency and scale expertise, so decades of experience, in building, operating, and managing those large-scale systems and industrial projects come to play here. Existing market relationships, so well-established global supply chains with Japan, with Europe, for energy commodities, offtake agreements. Domestic decarbonization goals as well. There is a need to diversify their own economies. If we look at the Saudi Vision 2030 or the UAE Net Zero 2050, it's all in alignment, and there is a need to create a new green export streams. In terms of Africa strengths, I believe this would be the world-class renewable resources. So if we look at the best solar irradiance in the world, we are looking at countries like Namibia or Mauritania. If we look at the wind potential, it's Morocco, Egypt, South Africa as well. There is vast available land for gigascale solar and wind farms, which is critical requirement for low-cost hydrogen production, as was mentioned during your earlier question. Proximity to future markets, so there is a strategic location both for catering for Europe and Asia. Also development and job creation, what was mentioned earlier, so it could be catalyst for industrial development and electrification and job creation. So firstly, I think in terms of the co-development of the gigascale export projects, I think this is the most prominent model that we could look at as well, where Gulf countries can act as lead investors and developers for the massive African green hydrogen projects designed for export. So if we look at the case, for instance, of the UAE Masdar and Egypt Hassan Alam Utilities. So Masdar obviously brings to the table its huge renewable energy expertise and development and the financial heft. And the Suez Canal Economic Zone offers a strategic location with already ready port infrastructure, industrial land, easy access to shipping lanes. So the project is planned in phases. The targeted capacity is around the 4 gigawatts of electrolyzers by 2030 and producing around 2.3 million tons of green ammonia annually for export. So again, this phased approach aims to de-risk the investment and allows for scalable implementation. Also Aqua Power in South Africa with the earlier mentioned Hydrogen Valley Corridor. Also, we need to focus on the technology transfer and and knowledge transfer and efficiency for the EPC, so engineering, procurement, and construction.
Yeah, I'm very much focused on the knowledge transfer, the support. I'll come to you, Angelique, when it comes to the financing game. I'm very excited. She mentioned public investment fund. I have a question around that for you. But recently, Middle East signed an agreement with Kenya for geothermal collaboration. Has there been any form of MOU signed between the Middle East and any African country as far as hydrogen is concerned so far?
There is also, I think, increasing emergence of these bilateral relations. But I think what we also need to look at those projects is like integration.
Yeah.
So,
did you know I'm asking this question? We in Africa we see UAE, Dubai as a vacation zone. Anytime you talk about Dubai, it's for vacation. You know, if you talk about Saudi Arabia, it's for the Muslims to go to Mecca. So we don't have that relationship
Perception.
exactly. So is there any case study that we can jump on and say, hooray, we have something in hand?
no, I think there's increasing in terms of this bilateral agreement signing, for MOUs between the countries like UAE with each
Exactly.
country bilaterally.
Yep.
But we need to also have things that are more like multilateral, so more integrated for a whole hydrogen corridor from UAE to Africa, something a bit more like heavy in scope. But I believe there are already efforts made in that side. So it's also about the action, not just planning.
Exactly.
So this is the next step now, what we need to focus on in the next timeline of 1 to 5 years. I believe so.
Okay, so we hope that we're going to move from just talking to action to have this collaboration. Because when we talk about Turkey, car power shift from Turkey is all over Africa.
Also, I think another factor which helps is, as you said, because the USA funding is like on hold or withdrawn. And we also have the election just in May of the new president of African Development Bank, Dr. Sidi Utta,
Yep.
who also has a strong background in Middle East with the Badia for the previous 10 years. So I believe this Middle East and Africa links are going to be strengthened given the circumstances as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, so we'll meet here next year. We're going to give us more case studies. You're going to push that for us. Okay,
definitely.
good. So now back to you, still about funding, because I think we are one of the few regions that need funding from everywhere, except except generating the funds ourselves.
Yeah.
We want to keep our money and still get money from everywhere. So I'm excited about the public investment fund that Alessandra mentioned, but from the investment bank perspective, how do we work with the government? Okay, I know working with government is very difficult because there are so many meetings talking about the same thing every day and no action is taken. But we still need the government. You said it yourself, talking about policy. My friend from Mozambique also elaborated on that. So how do we work with the government to crowd in more private capital, all right, and make hydrogen investment attractive to even global investors like those in the Middle East?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're lucky in Namibia that we sit with a situation where access to the government and conversations with the government is relatively easy. It comes from long-standing relationships and not a very big country. But I mean, to your point, there's different types of capital, right? Whether it's debt capital or equity capital, there are also different mandates by the different types of organizations. So commercial banks have a very separate mandate to, for example, DFIs. So there's a blended finance opportunity that you can create with all sorts of different types of financiers to de-risk a project and allow different players to play according to their mandate. The same applies to equity. You have equity interested equity partners when it comes to infrastructure. You have equity partners that are more interested in ESG type of things. So that's where you can help create sustainable, notes like green bonds or social bonds, etc. And that also only works within a certain stable policy environment, and that's again where your relationship with government comes in. And then when you're talking about funds, obviously when you're looking at green climate funds or any funds like that, they will also not just throw money at any country with any risk level, etc., and or any project. So again, it's about a relationship with your government as to how stable the environment is that you're providing to any of these investors, and then creating an opportunity for them to invest. But again, you need to create a platform where the project to some point make sense, where it's not just chucking money at a green field that may or may not happen. And, you know, the government also comes in when you're saying there's a triple P model, you know, your public-private partnerships, which is a really important model, and it's worked in the renewable energy space. So mainly solar, starting with wind now in Namibia, extremely well, because your risk is then separate. Your risk is the government and the off-taker and your risk is the project. And together it's a completely different mix of risk, to invest in, whether it's debt, blended debt, or equity. So it's really about looking at all the different types of equity you can tap into, debt or equity you can tap into, and that the government plays a big part in creating that stable environment for it.
Fantastic. That's awesome. We have just a few minutes to close, so I'll be picking some final remarks from all of you, starting from Damio. From the policy perspective, okay, if you could unlock just one policy, if there's just one policy you could unlock for your country, it could be a financial tool, it could be technology innovation, today to fast track Africa's hydrogen economy, what would that be? What policy, what technology that you would you unlock to get the hydrogen economy running?
Yes, I like to put in place the strategy, because when we have the strategy, we have the milestone, the objectives, and where we need to reach, and medium and long terms. So, if we have in Africa, for example, for hydrogens, the hydrogen energy strategy that whole countries fit, and then I think we can move together and reach the same objective in long terms. So from my side, I think the energy strategy is good for starting.
Okay, fantastic. One thing I've realized from where I'm from, I don't know about Mozambique, is that Africa is not behind when it comes to putting strategies on paper. The problem we have is with implementation. So are you saying that having a strategy for short term, mid term, and long term is enough?
No, this is a start.
Is a start?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We need to have the start.
You want to start with putting the strategy on paper and then going to sleep on it. All right, no problem. Let me come to you, Alessandra. I mean, by 2035, like I said, Africa could be the heart of $1.5 trillion hydrogen economy. What is your vision, even though you're not an African, but you are into this hydrogen economy business? What is your vision for Africa's place in that future?
So I think there's a need for collaboration among the key stakeholders to achieve this vision. So for governments, like we mentioned earlier, we need to stop planning and start facilitating in a way as well. We have to make sure that there is, ease of making separate African countries on their behalf to make them the key hydrogen hubs. For financiers, we need to. There would never be a perfect project, I think it starts with de-risking the pipeline as a whole. Again, step by step, but providing the patient capital for preparation. And I think for the industry also to stop, working in separation with, production separate and use separate, but combining and building integrated consortia, which could further facilitate those hubs like the Hydrogen Valley case. And prove that the demand is real with ease of securing the offtake agreements as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. So we've heard from the policy, it says make the plan, put a strategy over there for short term, medium term, and long term. And non-African is saying that let's collaborate. Let's put finance together for offtake agreements so it becomes bankable for Angelique to sponsor. But now let's come to you both Africans, because you are my brother, my sister. Let's call to action. Let's call to action today. What key action should Africa government, financiers, industry leaders prioritize in the next 12 to 24 months, as far as hydrogen economy is concerned?
Yeah, so there has been a lot of work that has been done in the past, especially from the South African point of view, where we've gone from doing research and development towards piloting of various technologies. We've developed intellectual property that was focused mainly on the PGMs, because we're now focusing on the minerals and the mineral beneficiation, local mineral beneficiation. To support the South African economy and the African economy in general. So for me, what needs to happen is the scale up of the work that has been done, and also sharing the lessons from the South African point of view, learning also from other African countries in the work that the other African countries have done. Morocco, for instance, they're at an advanced stage in some of the projects that they're working on. The project that Namibia is doing. In South Africa, we've got 16 catalytic projects that have been identified in the Hydrogen Society Roadmap as part of the feasibility study. We've got the green hydrogen commercialization strategy. Like you were saying, we've got strategies. We need to move towards implementation. We need to come together as a continent and look at the strength of each country and then leverage on the strength of each of the countries.
You have hydrogen, we have oil.
Yes.
So there could be some trade-offs.
That's true. So, we have the sun, we have the wind, we have the minerals, we have the research that we've done. We've done demonstrations. Other countries have got other strengths that we can leverage on, and then move together to develop the hydrogen economy.
Fantastic. After should be here to hear you say what you're saying. So back to you. Call for action. In the next 12 to 24 months, what should you expect?
So Africa and Namibia's problem is its opportunity, right? There are so many things happening. The prioritization is a challenge because there is wind and there is sun and there is space and there is land and there is oil.
Yeah.
So the priority, I think, is a challenge for the government. And as financiers, whether DFIs or commercial banks or equity or venture capitalists, there's only an opportunity to invest and enable the ecosystem if the investment actually happens. So I think it's all about, from a financier perspective, understanding the ecosystem and this industry and all of these industries to such a degree that one understands how to approach them and how to enable them, all the way at the upstream / top project level to how do you enable that ecosystem, so the logistics and everything that comes with it. Because a project can only stand if the infrastructure and the supporting ecosystems also stand. So it's up to us to understand this, to be able to finance it.
Fantastic. I mean, that's an amazing run up to the questions that have been asked. I mean, putting a strategy in place for short term, medium term, and long term, that's good. But let's move from there to implementation, no doubt about that. Alexandra is saying, let's collaborate. There's experience from somewhere. There's still a market somewhere. We still have a market in here, on a continent. And Prof is saying that we have gone somewhere. We have built it to an extent. Can we scale up with all this collaboration, with all these strategies that we need to review? Okay. And then you are saying, let's prioritize, because there are so many things, so many fishes in our hand, and we don't know which one to choose. Is it a catfish? Is it a frogfish? Which fish you want to eat now? And that's very important, because we still have this resource curse in Africa, where we have everything like you mentioned, but we don't know even how to manage it ourselves. So audience, and also to you, panelists, thank you so much for making this chat on hydrogen energy very, very resounding. And I appreciate all of you for staying tuned to us. I wish I could get questions from you, but our time is sold out. So we'll surely make time to have a discussion of the stage with you. Thank you once again.